Welcome to the Savvy Leader Podcast, the place for growth, learning, and inspiration for leaders just like you. I'm your host, Kristen Gallatin, and each week we will dive into the grit, grace, and gratitude it takes to become the savvy leader you were always meant to be. Welcome back to the Savvy Leader Podcast. Today, we're going to discuss one of the most powerful and misunderstood forces in both life and leadership, and that, my friends, is transformation. People love to talk about transformation like it's a motivational poster. Change your habits, shift your mindset, upgrade your life. But real transformation, the kind that rewires your entire identity, rarely looks clean. It rarely starts with a plan, and most of the time, it chooses you. A few years back at a Christian women's conference, the keynote speaker said something that has stuck with me ever since. She was strong, successful, beautiful, and in the middle of leaving a marriage that had been broken by years of betrayal. In the middle of her own heartbreak, she simply said, "True transformation means the former you and the new you cannot live in the same space." That line hit me like truth I already knew, but had never let myself say out loud anyway. Because transformation isn't a makeover, it's not an upgrade, it's a full-on shedding. And shedding is painful, especially when the version of you that needs to be released is the one that you've depended on your entire life. For most of my life, I was under a pressure so normal to me that I didn't even have a name for it. I was the I got it girl, the go-to person, the one who brought more to the potluck than most because I needed to prove my value. I outworked, outserved, and outperformed most, not because I loved the hustle or needed applause, but because I believed my worth was directly tied to the value that I could provide. As long as I was essential, I believed that I belonged. This identity served me in many ways. It made me an exceptional leader. It built my career, my businesses, and even a reputation. But it also built a cage. One I didn't even know that I was living inside. Well, sometimes I think I did. And then life handed me a reality that I did not choose. And that was the day of my husband's crash. Everything shifted. My role shifted. My life shifted. I could feel the earth shifting. My pace quickened. And my nervous system went into constant red alert. Suddenly, I wasn't the leader running multiple businesses. I wasn't the woman who could outwork anyone. I wasn't the person people could call at any moment to handle everything. I became a full-time caregiver overnight. Let me be very clear. Caregiving is not a strength of mine whatsoever. People assume that I'm built for it because I'm capable, efficient. I'll take the lead on anything, but caregiving requires patience, softness, emotional availability, and real presence. My reality, I'm so impatient, fast-paced, goal-oriented, and clear about what needs to get done. Not the best fit. So I leaned in on what I do have to offer. Leadership instincts and efficiencies, the ability to organize chaos, a willingness to take on the hard things, and kindness whenever I could muster it, and an unstoppable will to continue to move forward. And that, my friends, is how I survived the role. I still lean on that today, not because caregiving was natural, but because leadership was natural and had trained me to move through the impossible, or what would seem that way. But the pressure of caregiving, layered with the pressure of business ownerships, among many other things, was a level of stress that my body simply could not tolerate anymore. And my heart forced me to take a breath and slow it down. My heart was on overload. I was in overdrive 24/7, a very clear warning to me. And if I didn't slow down, irreversible damage was on the horizon and not too far off. I couldn't just keep going the way that I had been. This wasn't just a life update. This was the transformation initiating itself within me. You know, when the busyness is stripped away, when you can't escape into errands and to-do lists or even social commitments or hide behind achievements, you start hearing things you never really noticed before. You start to feel the pulls, all the pulls around you. You see how much of yourself has been shaped by the needs of those you care about, and you realize how little of your life has actually been your own. In the quiet, I learned more about myself than in decades of productivity. I started to learn what I needed. I certainly saw what exhausted me. I learned what I had tolerated for far too long. And I also learned what aligned with my values and also then what didn't. Because here's the truth. You can't know who you are until you stop being everyone else's someone. And that is when the transformation truly begins. I often describe this season as swimming. It felt like the tide, immovable and in constant motion, forward and then back a little, and then forward some more, but always progressing. And transformation doesn't just let you stay where you were. It pushes, pulls, stretches, and it whispers things that you may not want to hear. Sometimes the new version of you is simply waiting on the shoreline, and that tide is carrying you forward, straight to her. You could resist, you could go against the current, or you can learn to move along with it. When everything got too heavy, the house, the responsibilities, the feeling of being just stuck, we made a decision that surprised even us. We sold our home. We sold it all. We downsized drastically and moved into an RV, a fifth wheel toy hauler. RV life met us halfway. It allowed us to shrink our lifestyle, simplify our obligations, cut out some noise, and add a dose of fun and adventure into a life that had become defined by medical appointments, business responsibilities, prescriptions, and survival. We love camping, road tripping. We've always loved to be in nature. So it was the perfect fit at just the right time. Don't kid yourself though. RV life comes at a cost too. It can feel very isolating, and we greatly miss the people that we love and the people we had so much fun spending time with. We miss comforting traditions and familiar routines, absolutely. Still, this shift created some space to breathe, space to listen, and space to rebuild. It gave us something to look forward to while we learned what our new life looked like. It allowed the unfolding to begin. Transformation feels really strange. You can feel so fragile and unshakable at the same time. You feel like you're walking on a tightrope while also holding it steady. You mourn the old you, even the parts you didn't like so much. You grieve the roles that you outgrew. You feel the loss of what was so familiar. But you also sense something grounding beneath your feet, this foundation. A new identity was forming, a deeper steadiness, a more clear awareness of your values and your priorities and what really mattered. And it allows you to see forward into the future so much more clear. Grounding yourself becomes essential. Your values become your compass. Your boundaries, they become the walls that protect this new version of you. Because you're not rebuilding that old foundation. You're not. You are creating a completely new one. This season has reshaped me, and it has reshaped my business completely. It also has reshaped how I lead. And this is what I've learned personally and professionally. Honor the reason the transformation arrived. Every single disruption has a message. Listen for it. Watch for what bubbles up and pay attention. Bring your experience along with you, all of it. Even in brand new territory, your leadership tools, skills, insights, experience, they still work. Something must be released or nothing can grow. Letting go is uncomfortable, especially when you're not ready for it. And for those of us with really strong systems or rituals or even a little OCD, it is so necessary though. Slowing down is not failure. It's complete and absolute clarity. Your pace cannot outrun your purpose. Did you hear me? Your pace cannot outrun your purpose. Values are your stability in the storm. They keep you anchored when everything else is changing all around you. And vulnerability strengthens leadership. You don't become more effective by being untouchable. You become more relatable and authentic by being real and being very human. Every transformation makes you more grounded, wise, and empathetic. And that is what your team, your clients, and your community need most. From one leader to another, transformation isn't a task, it's a season. You will not be the same afterward, and that is the point. Let go of what the old you was holding on to. Keep your experience, your wisdom, your values with you. Slow down enough to hear what your life is trying to tell you, and trust that the tide is carrying you somewhere meaningful. And remember, the former you and the new you cannot simply live in the same space. Thank you for walking through this with me today. If you're in a season of change, grief, discomfort, or rebuilding, you are not lost. You're transforming, and you might just be unfolding into the leader you were always meant to be. Until next time, savvy friends, take care. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Savvy Leader Podcast. Be sure to check the description below for any links or resources we mentioned today. And for even more inspiration and tools to help you on your own leadership journey, come on over and join the conversation in the Savvy Leaders Lounge. That's savvyleaderslounge.com, and we'll see you next time.